Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I asked on the Sat Chat, last Sat Chat, if anyone wanted to see a flip through of the scrapbook calendar that I make for my parents every year, and a few people said yes, so I'm going to show a flip through of it, and then I'm going to show you my binding machine and just a quick overview on how I built this in case it's something that you want to make. I know it will be after Christmas when this video goes up, or at least it'll be after I give this present to my mom. I'll probably be dropping it off or mailing it. I just don't want to spoil it in case she's watching, but basically what I have here is 8.5 by 11 comb bound booklet, and what I do is I go to a website called pdfcalendar.com and I print off a year calendar. You can print it off this way, which is landscape, or you can do portrait. I like the landscape format. I think it's easier to put the photos together on a landscape orientation. But because this could be easily taken apart at the end of the year, the comb bindings are very easy to take apart. This could actually be taken apart and slid into an 8.5 by 11 binder from like Staples or any office supply store and be kept as a scrapbook that way. And if it was portrait, then you'd be able to flip through it kind of normally. So that's something you might want to consider. Maybe like give like a binder as well as the calendar if you want to. So I got photos of Penny and Lila and Jack. There's a picture of my mom and my sister, and they're my sister's brand new dog. Mom loves dogs, so I had to get as many dog pictures in as I could. So you can see I build the scrapbook page on the back side of the previous month. So I just adhere that. What I do is I trim my scrapbook paper down to 8.25 by 11. So this is 8.5 by 11, but you lose like about a quarter of an inch with the binder. So I just trim it to 8.25 by 11 and I adhere it to the back. I generally will make all the scrapbook pages and then kind of figure out in what order I want them to go in. I try to keep colors like kind of what I think would go with the month. So springy colors with March. And I had a lot of summer camping photos, so we got a lot of camping going on here, which made it kind of easy because I used pretty much two paper pads. I used a camping paper pad. It was kind of Great Outdoors, I think it was called, by We Are Memory Keepers, and I used a chenille paper pad for all the kind of like poppy, bright, youthful colors. That was my daughter Maisie's Halloween costume. She was an artist, so she wore my smock and used one of my palettes, so that was kind of fun. And again, I just did a lot of like collaging with the papers, like just cutting out like things from paper and gluing it down so that it wouldn't be too lumpy, because this is going to hang on the wall, so you don't want anything that's going to throw the weight off too much. So you wouldn't want like really heavy metal or resin embellishments on one side or the other. You want it to hang pretty flat, so you want to make sure any weight is distributed. And it's all about the photos. I think for these like scrapbooks that are given to relatives, you know, my parents they care about the photos. They want to see the kids. So I did a little bit of just like kind of like who's in each photo, just in case. Like my daughters are twins. I don't think they look very much alike, but other people disagree, so I kind of write their names down. So they would have that. So yeah, just a lot of pictures, a lot of summertime pictures. And for some of the embellishments, I use these wood veneer pieces. I really like those. I got a big pack of those at Dollarama when we were in Canada a couple of years ago. And there was lots of different motifs, a lot of different icons, and I just really like those. They might be a little out of date because I bought them at a dollar store like several years ago, but I like them. I think they go really well with this natural theme, and they're flat, so they don't leave bumps or lumps, and you know, any sort of little flat embellishments work really well. You might notice there's no photos of me because I'm always holding the camera, but oh well, my parents will have to deal. They see my face enough anyway. And there I use this wreath that I made at the Craft Along a couple weeks ago for Craft World. Oh, this one I missed binding that one. We gotta slide that right in the little thing there, so you could see how you could easily take the pages in and out. So I just use that as an embellishment. That is kind of big, but it's fairly centered, so it shouldn't throw the weight off. And a picture of the dog with the you know, Santa Claus hat on. But yeah, there was that. I just do like a cover, like an element on the cover to say what year it is, what year the calendar is for. I don't think Mom takes these apart. I think she just stacks them up on her shelf and looks at them after the year's done, but it could definitely be taken apart. All you got to do is just pull that apart, and you could pull these, you could just twirl it and take the binding off. And And then you have, then you can, you know, put it in a binder if you want to. I bind the calendar before I decorate it. So I start off with my 13 pieces of cardstock, so one for every month and then a cover. And then I punch the holes and I bind it. And then I make my scrapbook pages and I glue the scrapbook pages onto the backs of the calendar pages. That way I don't have to worry about anything being upside down or punch drawn because I've got the calendar base done already. So speaking of that, I'm just going to show you for an example how I put these calendars together. So I would have printed up the stack and had one plain sheet of paper and I would have them all done together. Now because it's cardstock, I do punch them one at a time. This is my binding machine. I'm just going to zoom out as much as I can. This one I picked up for like $20 at mybinding.com, and I did actually just go to their website. They do have a very basic model. This one I think is discontinued. I did see this on eBay, the GBC Combine C75. That's what this is. And it seems pretty sturdy. I saw this one on eBay and on Amazon and on Mercari under $50. So there's probably not a ton of them out there because it is a discontinued thing, but definitely out there. But my binding has a new one that's I can't vouch for it. I've never used that one, but this company seems all right. For $27.96, so for like $28 you can have a brand new one very similar to this. So what this does is it punches the holes and it puts the binding on. So I'm just going to show you just with one sheet of paper how this works. So there's a dial here that you set. I have it set for letter paper, but if you're going to do like a portrait calendar, you can put it in like that and just punch along the short edge, and that will work just fine. What you do with your binding clip is you just cut it to length. It will cut with any pair of office scissors. It's very handy. And these are very affordable. You can get like 100 pack of assorted colors for like $15 on Amazon. I got a big pack of white ones and black ones for like $1 at Ocean State Job Lot like years ago, and I'm still using those up. So very affordable. And that's why I wanted to get a machine like this instead of like a Bind It All or one of the other kind of weird fancy binding machines, because it's just it's so much more affordable. The supplies, the consumables for this are much more affordable. So if doing my calendar, I had it the landscape way, so I set my little dial to letter. There's different dials here. There's A4, so if you were working with that slightly longer cardstock that they have like in Europe, you could do that. And then there's USA oversized. So, you know, set it for whatever you want. And sometimes I'll play with it with a template if I'm going to do it this way. Sometimes letter isn't going to be the best option because you want to like center up those punched holes. You don't want it hanging over the side. So get some scrap paper and test with the different dials and see what's going to give your booklet the right shape if it's not an 11-inch wide piece you're doing. And I love that. You can always put a piece of masking tape down on the bed of this if you have like a tiny booklet. I love it because I can make little notebooks. I can make 3-inch wide notebooks, just cut the comb to the length that I need. So again, it's versatile. Whereas if you had the metal spiral or one of the other really specific craft binding machines, you might have issues being able to customize it, or you might have a situation where the company goes out of business and you can't get the binding stuff anymore. That said, I did just buy a disc bind punch because I love bookbinding. You never know it. I don't do it enough. Fantasy Lindsay loves to bookbind, so there you have it. All right, so you slide this in, you just line it up to there. It's gonna square itself against the back of the machine, so you don't really have to worry about it. So you get it pushed all the way in. And then what you want to do is just press down on the lever, and that's going to punch your holes. Okay, and then you take your comb and you let's see, you drop it down on the pegs, like so the pegs go in between everything, and then you slide it over. Oops, I have that upside down. Gotta do it this way. You drop it down. Gotta turn around. Okay. Oh my gosh, I do this once a year. You drop it down on the pegs and you slide it over so it catches the other pegs, and you just pull that down and it opens those up. And then there's like just a little guy here you just press over and it holds it in place. So you can finagle your paper, which would be a stack of papers. And once you get it where you want it to go, you just release that, and that's how you bind your thing. You just slide it off and you'd have all your sheets in there. And of course these come in different widths, so if you were doing like a cookbook, you wanted to make a family cookbook or something and you printed out tons of recipes, but it's thicker, you could get the thicker binding holes. This is like a 1/2 inch I believe, and they go up like inch and a half I think. They get pretty big, so you can definitely do any size with this. You don't have to just be limited. I feel like a salesperson for this. I've had this for like 10 years. I mean, I have no affiliation with mybinding.com. They have the best price, so I can't even use an affiliate link or anything. So I've ordered from them, they've been fine. So I just want to let you know that. Now let's say if you don't have this machine, it is very easy to use, and I did my first calendars without this, and then when I finally decided that I wanted, you know, it's kind of a pain and time consuming, but it does work. I'm going to show you how to do it without the binding machine. You're going to want a couple binder clips to clip your stack of papers together. So you get your calendar together however you want it, in order, by month, preferably, and then what you'd really do is you'd put like binder clips on each side and you'd hold it so your papers don't move. And then what you do is you take your binding comb, and you would take a pencil, you'd hold your binding comb up to the edge of your paper, and this would be like on the top sheet, or you could do this on like a scrap piece of typing paper if you don't want to have to erase after. And what you do, let me zoom in a little bit more, I just want to make sure that you can see here. So then what you would do is you would take your pen and you would mark, or pencil, probably pencil, and you would mark a line where the tines of the comb are, and you do that all the way down. And then you would take a hole punch, and I would recommend a crocodile because you might be able to do the entire stack at once. And what you want to do is set your guide. I like the crocodile because you can punch through a bunch, and you can also set your guide to how far away you want it to be from the edge. So let's see, I think I probably want about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, if that. So I'm going to slide that little guide up like that, maybe like 1/8 from the edge. I think it's as high as it goes. I'm going to tighten that up. So that way, as I go and punch, all my punches are going to be like lined up. So then I can peek through the hole there. I'm going to hold it up. I hope you can see. So I'm just going to peek through the hole, and I can see that I can see one end of the line. So I'm going to punch. Then I'm going to go right next to it, and I'm going to punch again. Okay, and you do that. I think I'd want the bigger, is that the bigger size? Wow, there's a little, maybe I used a bigger punch. That looks so small. But anyway, you'd go ahead and you do that. I guess, you know, this is right because you don't want them too big. You'd go through and you do that, just kind of making these Mickey Mouse ears all the way along for however long your book was. And if you can't do it in, if you can't do all your pages at once, if you say you can only do half, then you know, clip those half together and then stack your pages back on, and then make your little lines through the holes. That way you can make sure it's going to line up with what you've already done, or just leave, like, say you did pages 1 through 6 and leave page 6 on top and just punch, use that page as a guide. I hope that makes sense. I think I did demonstrate this in an old video, but I got thousands of videos. It can be tedious to go through all those videos. Okay, so I know it doesn't look that like professional, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to notice it once you get the combs in. So then what you want to do is, obviously you would start with the end of your comb at the end of the page. You would just, you know, fiddle these little ends through the holes, just like that. And you're not really going to notice it. And then when you put your scrapbook pages down, you could line your scrapbook pages up so it covers off the bottom of those like Mickey Mouse ears or whatever you want to call them, just those bumps, so it will look just fine. But look at that, it's going to move just fine, and that way you can do it on the cheap. Yeah, it takes a lot longer than just, you know, chunk with the machine, but if you're only doing it, you're only making one once a year, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Then you don't have to store that binding thing. So there is my scrapbook calendar that I make for my mom and my mom and dad every year. If you could also use do digital layouts. That would be like really handy. If you're doing, say, like for your parents and your in-laws and maybe aunts and uncles, you could do a digital scrapbook page and then just print it out however many times you need it. So I've done that too. Back when I used to do the calendars for my mother-in-law and my parents and my sister-in-law, when they were around, I would do digital layouts so that I could just print off 3 and then make the album that way. And this would also be a really nice gift for a new parent. You know, just make the calendar, maybe put some scrapbook paper down and some matching like rectangles, either white or colored cardstock, so the new mom or dad could like paste in their photos as they get them developed, or as they print them off, because that would be, you know, just they'd have their year scrapbook. Because, you know, when you've got a new baby and you're writing down, oh, you know, they've gone to the doctors and you're writing down their height and their weight and you're writing down all these little notes. It's so nice to have that. at the end of the year, because then you see that whole baby's first year and you just kind of scrapbooked it as you go, because you know new parents are so busy that I think that would be a great gift. And I figure a lot of people aren't getting around to seeing their families this year for Christmas, so this is something that you could do now and you could give to them when you finally get together and celebrate Christmas, whether it be in March or April or 4th of July, who knows. But it's just a really well received gift. It's been the only gift my parents want, and I think this is something nice that we can share with people. And hey, gotta love good gift ideas, right? Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up before you go, and until next time, happy crafting.